Hello everyone, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I am Arif, your cloud learning partner. Today we're going to go through the process of hosting a static website in AWS S3 bucket. So let's get started. I have already logged into my AWS account, and from the search menu let's look for S3, which means Simple Storage Service. From the S3 management console, let's click Create Bucket. At first, we need to give a name for our S3 bucket. One thing to remember here, if we want to use our S3 bucket for hosting a static website, the bucket name should match our domain name. In my case, I'm gonna call my S3 bucket www.cloudmagic.com. And one cool thing is that this name is unique. So if you create a S3 bucket with this name, nobody in the world can create another S3 bucket with the same name. So that is kind of cool. Next, we need to select our region where our S3 bucket will be deployed. I'm okay with the default US East 1 North Virginia region. In this section right now, block all public access. This option is ticked. That means our bucket cannot be accessed publicly. But if we want to host a static website in our bucket, we need to uncheck this so that people can reach out to our website. I have unchecked this, and now we are getting an alert. Let's acknowledge. One fun fact, few years ago, whenever we created a S3 bucket, the bucket was publicly accessible all time. But some people just created bucket randomly without proper security in place and put some sensitive information and got hacked. And from that point, AWS make all this bucket publicly inaccessible by default. Right now, we are not concerned about bucket versioning, and under this section, default encryption, it is disabled. It is always a good practice to enable default encryption, so it helps to actually encrypt our files at rest, which is really great. For encryption key type, we do have two options, SEC S3 and SEC KMS. I prefer SEC S3 over KMS because SEC S3 is free of charge. So I'm gonna select this one. Let's everything keep default. Now let's hit create bucket button. Within a few seconds, we can see our new S3 bucket has created, and the bucket is empty because we haven't uploaded any file inside our bucket. So in order to demo our static website, I have created a pretty basic HTML page index file. So now I'm gonna use the simple HTML file to demonstrate the static web hosting. So this is pretty basic. It's just printing cloud journey, hello world. I will drag and drop the file to our S3 bucket. Now we can just upload our index file. Perfect. So the file is uploaded. If we go back, we can see we do have this file inside our S3 bucket root folder. So far, our bucket is not configured for hosting a static website. So now we need to configure that part. We have to click Properties, From properties, we have to scroll all the way down, and here we can see the option static website hosting, which is disabled by default. Let's edit and enable static website. We will choose this one, host a static website. Let's give our index document a name, which is index.html, and we don't have the error HTML for now. It's okay. After making these changes, let's save our configuration. Now let's click the properties again and scroll all the way down. From here we can see now we are getting a URL. If we click the URL right now to see our HTML file, it is showing us an error 403 error access denied. That means our bucket is kind of like denying our access request. The reason of this is for our bucket, we haven't added any permission bucket policy yet. Before making this video, I created this bucket policy, and this is a JSON format bucket policy, which is pretty straightforward to understand. This is just declaring that it is allowing all principal to access the object, which are the files of our S3 bucket from anywhere. And this is our bucket name, and after our bucket name we have put asterisk sign so that it applies to all of the object inside the S3 bucket. So after making this change, let's go back to our properties and try again the static website link. And this time this link is just working fine, and we are seeing our static website in here. That is great. One thing to notice in here it is showing this the connection is not secure, because we are just accessing this link using HTTP, and by default S3 buckets doesn't support HTTPS port 443. In order to make sure that this bucket is using port 443 HTTPS, we need to first create a CloudFront distribution, and then we need to integrate the CloudFront distribution with our S3 bucket. CloudFront distribution is a CDN, which we will cover later in our video series. So that's all. Now we do have our static website, which is hosted in S3 bucket.